All right, well, good morning. Greetings and salutations to everybody out there in YouTube land. I'm your host once again, Dan Thornton. I want to thank you all for joining us here today, Lions Talk Live Tuesday edition. Hey, Memorial Day is behind us. That means we're one step closer to June. You know what comes after June? July. That's right. The start of training camp is getting a little bit closer and closer to us. So I thought we'd take a moment of pause today and talk about who are some of the most underrated players on the Detroit Lions. I picked one for offense, one for defense, and this is going to be in regards to guys who play on a regular basis, maybe even start, as both the guys in the thumbnail do, and just say, hey, are these guys talked about enough? Are they appreciated enough? Will they be Lions in the future like they are the present? So all this we're going to try to talk about and debate. There can be other players of note that you guys say, hey, this guy doesn't get talked about enough. Hey, he's more productive, whatever. Talk about them all today, but today's episode is about the underrated players on the Detroit Lions team. And yes, I did list Taylor Decker and Alim McNeill as my offense and defensive guy who are the most underrated players on the team. And again, that play on the regular. How about that? So we'll go into it and debate it in today's show. See what you guys have to say about it all. But before we get going with that, as you know, just a couple of real quick house cleaning things. If you haven't yet subscribed to Lions Talk Live, please consider doing so. Make him push to get to 6,800 subs. We're about 85 away from doing so. So if you can help out with that, if you're enjoying the content of the video, and when the season hits, you want someone who's going to get you the news as fast as possible, as quick as possible, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Also, if you're enjoying the video and the content within the Lions Talk Live, don't be afraid to hit that thumbs up button. We try to get each video to somewhere between 200 to 300 likes. That helps the channel out, helps push the content out to more and more people who haven't seen it. So if you can do your part to help out with that, that'd be great. Last but not least, just because I have about a gajillion different jobs and enjoy them all, if you're looking to buy or sell property anywhere in the state of Michigan, give me a call or shoot me a text. You see the number on the screen. Let somebody work for you who's been in the industry since, the early 90s. Give me a call or shoot me a text, 269-998-2384. Like to say I'm an outside-the-box thinker, so I'll go do everything I can to help you save money on either the sale or purchase the property that you're considering. And, try to make the process a whole lot easier for you as well. Again, you see the number, give me a call or shoot me a text. If you're outside of the state of Michigan, you can still contact me. Just have to do a few things a little different. All right, welcome to Lions Talk Live. Hopefully everybody had an outstanding extended weekend and enjoyed the holiday. Paid your respects to people who, have served for the country and maybe even given up a little bit of themselves for the country. So take a moment at a time and make sure that if you didn't get to it yesterday, you try to do it today. All right, Lions are got a couple guys we're going to talk about today. What are your guys' thoughts on Taylor Decker? What are your thoughts on Alim McNeill? So if we real quick understand that Taylor Decker is one of the longest tenured Lions on the team, if not the longest. He was drafted, I got to remember now, 2016. Yeah, that's right, 2016. He's been with the team for a while. He is Mr. Lion at this point. And while he may not get all the notoriety that Penei Sewell, maybe even Frank Ragnow receive, I think most people get Penei Sewell is just a generational talent. And that's no disrespect for Taylor Decker. But when you hear all the chatter about the offensive line, his name doesn't come up a ton. If you go over his career stats, you can see there's really only been 2 years where he's missed, a large amount of games throughout the year. The rest of the time, he's been pretty much an Iron Man, gritting it out, being out there, doing what he can to help the team get to the promised land. So good for him for that. Now, when we look at Alim McNeill, we've got a guy that, let's face it, this is going to be a contract year for him, and he is a rising, ascending player, but sometimes plays in the shadow of, Aiden Hutchinson and some other players on this team, especially the offensive players, tend to get a lot of the limelight from the national media when it comes to the Lions. But in fairness to Alim McNeill, you do have a guy with 77 career tackles, 77 career tackles, 10 sacks, 1 interception, 1 touchdown in his career. And the stats include 60 tackles, 51 solo stops, 18 tackles for losses, and 5 sacks in his senior year. He rushed, check this out, in high school. Senior year, he rushed for 18 touchdowns in high school. So might want to throw that out at you too. Maybe he could be a possible running back in short yardage situations for Lions. And I am kidding about that, but hey, good for him for having 18 touchdowns his senior year in high school. But what do you think of these two guys? Taylor Decker, I get from a statistical standpoint, is a little harder to grade just because offensive linemen do not have grades. That's one thing I really believe they should try to invent or come up with a way to give offensive linemen their just due. I think most across the league would say Taylor Decker, he may not be a top 5 or 10 left tackle in the league, but he's somewhere in the conversation, probably between, say, 15 and 8. So in that way, maybe he's very Jared Goff-like. I want to see what you guys have to say about both these guys. And again, if you have somebody else on the team you think you would like to throw out there as an underrated player, today's the day to do it. All right, let's get us going. All right, JDC, good morning, all. Good morning, JDC. Hopefully you're having a great one. Bo, good morning, Duke Crew. MCDC, here I go again. Superdome or bust, exclamation point, and woo, the first woo of the show. You know what, just for you? 100%. Yes. All right, Hatman. Top of the morning to you all. Back at you, Hatman. Hopefully you had a great weekend. Stephanie, good morning, boys. Exclamation point. Decker is my guy. Exclamation point. I root for him all the time. Well, hey, glad you like him. Offensive linemen don't get rooted for enough unless it's something like the 2-point conversion, I guess, down in Dallas or, other situations like that. Maybe when Panay caught that pass on 3rd and 1 or whatever against Minnesota Vikings a couple seasons ago, but they don't get talked about enough, so I'm glad you're rooting them on. Bo, do we address the national or local media? Question mark. Coach and the Duke Crew have a lot more thorough knowledge of our Lions. So what constitutes underrated? It's a good question, Bo. I guess what I would just say is people on the team that probably don't get chatted up enough, probably don't get their just due, kind of get overlooked. And I get there's probably a ton of people you could list on that topic as far as underrated player. Could you put, Rodrigo on that list because he does so much for the team, but yet isn't chatted up a ton? So I'll leave it to you guys what kind of metrics you want to put on them. These were just my two people that I want to list out there. And with it coming into the grind part of the year, the end of this month, you got about, roughly 7 weeks until training camp begins. So it is going to be a deader time for news and content creators who are Detroit Lions or I guess just any NFL team's content creator. So you do have to come up with stuff to talk about, especially if you run a daily show. So I've got a couple ideas for you guys as well. So let me know what you guys think about underrated. All right, Detroit D, good morning to all. Let's go Lions. Duke Crew, 100% D. Hopefully having a great weekend, my friend. It was great. You had some rest, and now you're ready to get back at it. JDC at 71, I agree. He's the guy he is, man. He is, it was nice last year. See him kind of get worked up, leaving a little bit emotional when talking about Lions getting into the playoff games and those winning those games. And then he's seen him talk about it. I want to say it was after the Rams game. And then again, after the NFC title game. Man, I mean, he's been here so long. He's been through so much stuff. I want to say he went through Caldwell and then the Quinn Trisha era and now this. To have gone through all those things and see just the highs or I guess the lows, then the highs of it all. Good for him, man. Him, Reeves Maben, Frank the Tank, they've been here through some of the bad times, and now that they are having an opportunity to go through some good times, you just got to really be embraced by them. All right, JDC, this would be a knee slapper, toe tapper, get the heartbeat faster kind of Detroit Lions song. Who's Bang Tank? All right, without a fight. All right, fair enough. I'm not sure, but I'll go with that. All right, I'll trust in your wisdom. All right, Franz, what do you got? Good evening, everyone. I liked the video yesterday, Coach. Nice change of pace with the video added into your show. Are you going to begin doing more of that type of stuff? Question mark. I guess the easy answer is I don't know. It's just such a pain with those videos. I don't mind the time you have to put in to do them, to edit them, and all that stuff to come up with the different clips. But when you're doing a live and you add video, you really don't know if it's going to be copyright blasted or whatever until the end of the show. And then even then, you can still get copyright blasted for the music or whatever. I go through and I only use royalty-free music, but just use last night's video as an example. Since I was posting it not as a live, but as an upload video, they have a system of checks and balances they go through. It takes about 15 minutes, and they tell you, hey, you need to clip out this clip here of 10 seconds and that clip there of 10 seconds. which I did. Once the YouTube algorithm alerted me that these two spots, for whatever reasons, and they don't give you details, these two, whatever they were, 10, 12-second segments have to be removed. I went ahead and removed them. Everything seemed okay, put it up online, and then somewhere around 5 o'clock today, or this morning, I should say, I got a notice from YouTube saying, hey, that song you used is copyrighted. And I was like, wow, because everything I show on it was free use information, but it's just part of the. I guess what I can just say is I'll pick my battles with it all because nobody seems to have good answers. What qualifies for this or that? I've reached out to other content creators. They've told me they have the same problems with it. So it is what it is. Now, you can get around it by paying all the fees for the different licensings, but I'm not trying to go into debt running this channel. All right, Mike the Rain, howdy, Dan, Lions faithful, back at you there, Gunning. Hopefully having a good morning. Bo, I'm going down the only road I've ever known. Well, hey, maybe it's time to branch out to other roads. Hey, you don't have to have just one. But yes, I know where you're going with that, Bo. Moon Sky, there you go. Like a drifter, yes, you were born to be alone. Yes, yeah, I was born to walk alone. All right, Ed, Lions Talk Live, baby. Yes, indeed, it is that time of day. Hopefully you all enjoy the show as always. Dave, we will only know the most, quote, underrated, end quote, players after August 29th when the 53-man roster has been completed. And that might be tomorrow's show is who is going to be the 53-man roster. I know we talked about it, gosh, I don't know, whatever it was a week or two ago. But now that we've had the first things of OTAs out of the way, have we changed any views and opinions? Who's going to be up on the depth chart, down on the depth chart? I mean, this team is, we talk about it all the time. It's stacked. You got dudes on top of dudes. And yes, we could probably include in that, okay, who are going to be the second string guys, the third string guys? And is that second string better than some teams' first strings? I think there could be some debate that maybe they're not overall better, but if you look at some of the real bottom of the barrel teams in this upcoming season, Detroit Lions second string guys might be able to be the starting lineup for that particular team and improve upon it. That's the scary part. All right, Steve, good morning, Coach Dan and the Duke crew. I very much enjoy the breakdown of defense you did last night. The show is improving exponentially. Thumbs up. Big thumbs up for Dan. Hey, thanks for that, man. I'm going to keep trying to toy with that kind of stuff. It's just one thing I know off the bat, I got to probably not have music in those things. So it just is what it is. Like last night's video, if I don't have music in it, it's probably good to go and everything. I'm not getting notices from YouTube. So that's probably just the direction I'll have to go in. And again, maybe there's other stuff I can learn and mimic or whatever, mirror. But I'm just trying to figure things out. Hey, but that's part of the process of getting better is you got to fall down sometimes in order to get back up and figure out what you did wrong. Thanks for that, though, Steve. All right, Brent, good morning, Dan and the Duke crew. Khalif Raymond is my Iron Man. Woo! And Khalif Raymond probably could be talked about as a most underrated player on the team. He does a lot of different things. He has been nothing but a home run pickup for this franchise since they've acquired him. And he probably doesn't get his just due. We talk about, man, we need another wide receiver. I don't know about the third string guy or whatever. And yes, we all talk about that Donovan Peoples-Jones or maybe Green, the rookie last year, will step into that role. But maybe Khalif Raymond, maybe they just feel like he's the guy. He's had a lot of big moments for us, and he's been very, very productive. He also adds the element of speed. So, Brent, you might be on top of something there. Clark, what do you got? What is up, all? Question mark. Back from vacation and ready for my morning coffee and a little Lions Talk Live. Love me some Duke crew! Exclamation point. Clark, I had wondered. I hadn't seen you in a little bit, so it's good to see you back. Hopefully you had a great vacation. And yeah, welcome back to the show, man. Good for you. All right, Ed, good morning, Coach and Duke crew. The Lions need to sign a veteran quarterback as a backup. I'm sure there will be some good ones cut after preseason. Whew. That's the tough part, Ed. Everybody wants a great backup quarterback. I get it. You want to feel like that if your starter goes down, whoever you bring in, maybe they're not a game changer, but they can win you a game. They can do enough to keep the offense going and clicking. And we all get it. The NFL just does not have enough good quarterbacks. That's one thing. I know we talked the other day about expansion. That would be one of the bigger problems the NFL faces. We all get, if you look at, say, like the top 10 teams, maybe 15 teams, those quarterbacks can all play. And you can Scooby-Doo the lineups, like who's the number one guy, who's the number 15th guy, or whatever. If you're in the top 15 quarterbacks in this league, you can play football at this level as a quarterback. But now when you start getting beyond that, you start getting closer to 20 and obviously all the way down to 32. A lot of those guys are, man, you got to babysit them at quarterback. They've got some real reasons to put them down low on the list. They've got some flaws in them. And obviously the further you go down the list, they have more and more flaws. So that just kind of exacerbates the backup quarterback problem. We've all talked about Hendon Hooker getting, potentially traded or whatever. What do we get? Why did we go out and get him, trade up in the third round to get him? Because just think about what we were just talking about. There's not 32 starting NFL quarterbacks currently in the league, which means anybody who's a backup, man, you're not even that dude. So there's reasons why you want probably a good backup quarterback. How many teams are going to cut somebody who can legitimately play quarterback? Man, that'd be an interesting deep dive question when the final rosters are all put around the league. If you wanted to rank the backup quarterbacks in the league, who's actually somebody you'd want to go with, and how many of them are guys you just don't want to ever touch the field? Nate Sudfeld. Nothing. Ed, what do you got? Decker is our worst offensive lineman, but on like 25 different teams, he'd be the best one. That's a fair take. Man, would you put him as the worst one? Man, I don't know, but I guess I'll let you guys rank him who's the best or worst or whatever as far as our starting offensive line. But I think you're spot on with it, Ed, that out of a lot of other teams, he would be the best one, if not one of the better ones on the team. So we're lucky to have him because we all get it. The Lions offensive line is one of the best units in the NFL, without question. I'm not going to say they're number one, they're number 10 or whatever. They're just one of the real good ones in the league. And the fact that we've got them, man, kudos to us. And that says a lot about the offensive line talent we have. Yes, agreed. Yes, agreed. We're pretty stacked with that. Hey, man, I was sitting here patiently waiting and drinking my woo coffee. And let's go. Oh, yeah. A little macho man. There you go. And the old hat man yesterday, or maybe it was this morning, whatever it was, scrolling through Facebook, and somebody had a Goodyear tire picture up there. And the letters for basically that were lit up. The other letters were dead, said, oh, yeah. So thought of you when it came to that. And greetings and salutations to all. I seen your video this morning, Coach. You've got me thinking our defense could be a real issue for opposing teams to handle. Bring on the blitz. Yes, and that's where I think exactly what it is. And that's basically what I was pointing out in the video yesterday. You could see the evidence of what Aaron Glenn wants to do on defense. And he did it last year, and I get it was later in the year when he really made this shift, I guess you could say. Stop playing so much zone coverage, which I get was Cam Sutton's strength, not man-to-man, but that's neither here nor there. And then also going back to what the Lions did so well during their huge run to nearly make the playoffs the season before. I like the type of defense. As I pointed out in the video, you force the offensive line to have to be able to communicate to stop it. And if you have missteps or whatever, mess-ups on the offensive line or the blocking assignments, then you're going to see, as you saw in the video, somebody's going to come free. Somebody's going to hit that quarterback. Now you further put pressure on the opposing offensive line when you start adding in the stunts, the delayed blitzes. And some of those delayed blitzes were 2-3 seconds before the person shot the hole to go after the quarterback. It also puts some pressure on the running game because, again, if you don't communicate correctly, who's picking up who's blocking where we're sliding to, adjusting to, then you're going to get free rushers after the running back or the quarterback. The other part it does, as we pointed out in the video yesterday, is if a pass is a little off or the quarterback, just doesn't get their feet set to throw. Now they're throwing off balance, maybe rushed. That ball hangs up in the air a little bit longer. Somebody like Kirby Joseph or whoever, Ife Melifano, somebody in the back end of the defense has an opportunity to make a play and get a turnover. And I thought they did a good job of that yesterday or last year. I think they're going to be able to do a better job with it this year just because the personnel around the team should be able to help out. One side of the D should be able to help out the other side of the D. So the front line versus the back end. So you all get it. And I think a BU quarterback, backup quarterback, needs the preseason to know enough to be able to fill in if needed. Could be, and I do think Hendon Hooker is going to be the backup quarterback. Who knows? Maybe the GVSU kid comes in and lights things up. But I just don't. At this point, anything could happen in the future. But at this point, I think Hendon Hooker's your guy as the backup quarterback. Ed, show idea. Maybe you can give us an all NFC North team one of these days. Yeah, we could do that. I know. I got a request last night from was it James? I think it was James from the morning show asking if I could do one. If I do one on the explaining the kickoff rules, so maybe we can just get a show where we do a couple of different things or whatever in it. So I'll go ahead and put that in there. All right, Susan, what do you got? Greetings, salutations. Ugh. Can we add another day to the holiday weekend? Haha. Yeah, that's beyond my abilities, but if you want to call in sick today, I know nothing. So whatever you do, go ahead and enjoy it. Ed, are people forgetting that Carlton Davis is in a contract year, will more than likely ball out, which benefits us? No, I think you're 100% right. I know we talked about it a little bit on the show last few weeks. He's coming in, wants to be a leader. He also wants to get paid. Let's be real fair. Whether it's with the Lions or whoever after the upcoming season, he's going to want to get a new contract, and probably rightly so. He's going to be throwing his body around. He's going to be doing everything he can to secure another 2 to 3, whatever it may be, your deal. So you're spot on with that, Ed. Ed Hatman, I'm just laying around and shanning mama and putting a puff on. All right, very good. Well, enjoy the morning. Kurt, I've got a question. Out of the rookies, who ends up playing this season? That's a good question. All right, so let's think about this. I guess if I got to say who's going to play this year, I'm going to go with, I think, Arnold. Whether or not he's a starter day one, I don't know, but I think he will eventually be a starter. Rakestraw will play. Vaki will play. After that, I guess we'll have to wait and see. I can see there's situations where guys get some snaps. Are they going to play big snaps, big minutes, whatever you want to say? That I don't know. I get there'll be a lot of people who say, hey, Wingo was one of the best players in OTAs. But again, I'm trying to be cautious here because OTAs, man, you're not even wearing pads. Nothing's really scripted. With all that being said, he went through several days of looking like apparently one of the best players on the field. So go with that for now. Could there be other guys that jump off the page? Sure. I don't think Manu is going to make a huge impact his rookie year. I think he just needs a lot of time to grow. I think he'll get there, just maybe not this year. Mahogany, maybe he can, but those would be my guesses. Baki, Rakestraw, and Arnold will probably play this year. Let's see what you guys have to say on that, though. And if Carlton Davis balls out, I'm talking like borderline all-pro. Do you let him walk, or do you at least franchise tag him and trade, or do you sign him long term? That's a good question, Ed. I guess if he's like near all pro, it'd be hard for me to let him go. My guess is you're probably almost forced into signing him for a 2 to 3 year deal. Probably nothing longer than that, given his age and position, but I could see 2 to 3 years. And then, probably Emmanuel Mosley's gone after this year in that scenario. Maybe some of the other guys, and then you're forced to draft some other backups to kind of offset whatever you're going to have to pay him. So that's a good point, but it'd be a good problem to have, too. And a veteran quarterback should be able to learn the system in a few short weeks. I get it. If Goff goes down in first week like Rodgers did, then your team is in trouble no matter who is there. That is correct. Yeah, I would say if you're going to get somebody in, you want them in obviously sooner versus later. I'm going to stick to my guns and say I believe for right now, unless something really egregious happens, Hendon Hooker's the number 2. All right, Hookadoo, good morning, Dan of the Dew Crew. Go Lions. Well, I don't drink coffee, but I'll have a cup of woo with the Dew Crew. One pride. We'll have that cup, get it going. And yes, I'll be out to get a morning dew before I hit the gym later today. Ed Kurt, M. Arnold will probably be the cornerback 2 by end of year. Rakestraw Island will happen. Wingo will have 4 sacks by the end of the year. I like the way you're thinking there, Ed. Man, could he make that happen? That'll be interesting to see. But I think there's going to be a lot of interesting components to this defense, especially the front 7 when the year comes up. I could see the situation where one of the safeties, maybe not number 1 on the team in the sacks, but will be towards, say, like number 5 on the team. Because I do think there's some potential that a Brian Branch or Iffy or just somebody who's going to be flying in on as a weak side bandit hitting the quarterback from behind, getting sacks. I could see one of those guys getting 5, 6, 7 sacks this year. So wait and see what shakes. All right, Captain America, what do you got? Greetings, salutations, new crew. I'll go with Arnold, Rakestraw, Vaki, Wingo, at Kurt. Okay, good group there. Good group. Hookadoo. Oh, and Bo, I love that song. Yes, if you're probably from the 80s in any way, shape, or form, you know that song and probably know it well. Bo, new MCDC theme song? Could be. We'll have to see. I'll let you guys debate that. Jedi Sith, what do you got? Are we really thinking Wingo is going to be that good? That's a tough one. Because again, OTAs, I get it's take it all with a little bit of pause. He looked great. He looked real good. He looked fast, explosive, powerful. And now that he's got another 2 months to start getting ready for training camp, work on things with people, he's got an axe to grind. Make no mistake, he is very much like an Amon-Ra St. Brown or a Goff or whoever you want to say. The vast majority of the guys on this team are guys that were kind of drafted late, overlooked. You could say Rakestraw fits that bill too, because when he was drafted, the cameras around him, he did not look happy. And then, there were people in the chat saying, hey, why do we draft this guy? He doesn't want to be here. We find out later on when you interview him that that's not what the case. His case was he was watching all the people go off the draft board before him that he felt he was better than. So he was, I guess a good way to say it was he was less than happy that he went when he did. Kudos to the Lions for getting, again, great value. I had him at like number 32 on my big board, and Arnold is number 10 on my board as far as just football players. So Lions got good value out of those guys. Wingo is kind of the same place, is that he thought he should have been drafted much sooner. So he might be coming out this year with something to prove. And, hey, that's only going to benefit this Detroit Lions team and defense. All right, Jedi says, as rookie, yes. Let's see, Ed, I don't think it's unreasonable for this defense to have 60 sacks. No, I think here's the one thing I'll say. Sacks are one thing. Hey, you finish the play. How many hits are we going to have on the quarterback this year? To me, yeah, pressures, hits. And I get last year, for the vast majority of the season, we were among the NFL leaders in pressures on the quarterback. Definitely not in the Baltimore Ravens game, though. But being that as it may, I think we are going to get a lot of sacks. We're going to lead the league. Maybe not in sacks, but probably quarterback pressures again, but we're going to get home more. And I could see us being in the top half of the defense, maybe even the top 5 as far as interceptions. If that all goes to fruition, if that all happens, then I think you will. Maybe you're already starting to see it happen across the league. You're going to see less zone coverage teams and more, Blitzburg teams. Because, again, the rules have just gotten so out of control for aiding the offense. You've got to do something as a defense to stop it down. It's one thing if you just have simply the best talent on the field and that just all happens to be on defense, sort of like the 49ers or sometimes the Ravens, but most teams just don't have those kind of just generational players on one side of the ball and that side of the ball. So see what happens. I think it's going to be a great year for the Lions. All right, Jamara, what do you got? Good morning and greetings, salutations, Coach. Back at you. Hopefully having a great morning. Hookadoo, love it, Bo. There you go. Ed, 60 sacks is a lot. It is, and we'll take it. But again, look how many games we now play. It is possible. Bo, the force is with Brad Holmes' 6th round sense. We'll go with that. Yeah, he does seem to hit pretty well in that round and with just the later rounds. And if they get 60 sacks, that means this defense is top 5. I'll go with that, especially if they get that many sacks. And I'll say 15 interceptions or more on the year. And I guess 15 really isn't a ton, so maybe we should bump it up more like 20 or something like that. That's almost, it's over 1 a game, so I don't know. Maybe I'm being too cautious with that. I don't know. I think as much as we're going to be blitzing and getting quarterbacks to throw off their feet, maybe rush it. Maybe I should up it up to something closer to 2 a game. But anyways, we'll see where it goes. Man, I see Betts getting 6 to 8 sacks this year. That's one thing I will say is I think we're going to see sacks just come from across the board. Most of the time when you have your Bruce Smith type guy or Aiden Hutchinson type guy, that's your pass rusher. Hey, they're going to have the big sack numbers. Okay, we get it. I think it's going to be more spread evenly across the board just because of the type of blitzing we're going to be doing, all the gap filling, the pulling, etc. I think you're going to put a lot of pressure on opposing offenses to have to account for everybody. which means you can't just double team the same guys over and over because you're going to let other people consistently go after the quarterback. So be a good problem for the Lions to have. And that's also why I think a couple of days ago when I did the Jack Campbell video, I had him around, whatever I said, 7-8 sacks, something like that. I just think you're going to get a bunch of sacks from him. The secondary personnel, the off-ball linebacker. You're going to have, whoever's opposite Hutchinson at end. I think you're going to get some from Alim McNeill and, Timbuktu, whoever you're going to put out there. You're going to get people who are going to get free passes at the quarterback, and they're going to finish up. Quentin, greetings, salutations all. This team has a whole lot of dudes who are underrated. Love it. Yeah, I think that the personality of the team, I think you're spot on, man. I think you've got a bunch of Amon-Ra St. Brown guys that, because they feel like they were jilted, they've written down everybody who's wronged them, and they're going to come out and take it out on the team. That's where I think Wingo could really make a jump. All right, Jason, greetings, crew. I think Jack Campbell is a bit underrated and will break out by the end of the season. Superdome or bust. I agree, and that's why I listed him a couple days ago, saying, hey, he's probably going to have a monster season, especially since he's going to be going Blitzburg plus his size, his wingspan. He is not bad in coverage, I think, at least, and he should only get vastly better this year as a sophomore in the league. Yeah, I could see him having some real good numbers. Ed, I know 60 is a lot, but do we have 4 guys that can get 10 each? I think so. All right, so let's just go ahead and say Hutchinson gets 10. I don't know. James Houston, just because I'm a Houston guy, he gets 10. Maybe Jack Campbell gets 10 from a blitzing linebacker, and then I don't know after that. Maybe Alim. I just think it's tough for a defensive tackle to get that much. But again, if we're blitzing that all the time, and you can't just double team the same guys over and over, maybe Alim McNeill. Ed, going back to 2016, only 2 teams have hit 60 or more. Very hard and doubt it happens. We'll see, man. We will see. I think it's possible, but you're also going to have some factors going to your way. One of the things I think that will assist us potentially hitting 60 sacks is the offense is so strong. We're scoring a bunch of points later and later in the game. You force teams to become very one-dimensional. And not that the NFL doesn't want to just throw the ball around anyways, but we get it. You get a team down, 17 points late in the third, or we'll just say the fourth quarter. What are they really going to be able to do in the fourth quarter? They're probably going to have to pass far more than they can run, which sets up the ability to get after the quarterback. All right, Ed, we have 2.5 guys that can hit over 10. By the way, Alim, Hutch, Houston had sniffed it before. Yeah, 100%. And those guys, hey, you've got Houston on a contract year. You got Alim contract year. Hutchinson, more or less, he's not quite there yet, but he's going to be close. Bo, hey, Mr. Ed, who has those records? That's a good question to have. Ed, so you're saying there's a chance. Yes, there is a chance. Ed, go on StatMuse. All right, fair enough. All right, Rocky, good morning, all. Graham is underrated and been a favorite since the U of M days. If you smell what the Rock is cooking, woo! There you go. And yeah, he's been here a while, and people I think often forget he was drafted by the Lions, then went to Denver, then came back. So good call on that, Rock. All right, Ed, I mean, there's a chance for literally everything to happen, but it's more likely that they hit close to 50 instead of 60 or more. That's only been done twice in 7 years. Well, let's see if we can make it 3 times in 8 years. Let's see if we can push for it. Bo, I wonder who gets more sacks, linebacker or secondary. I'll go with linebacker for now. But, man, like we talked about already in the show, there's a real possibility somebody from that secondary, just because they're blitzing all the time, could have a significant impact in the sack totals. So wait and see. All right, Michael Green, salutations, coach and do crew, exclamation points, Super Bowl or bust, exclamation points, one pride, exclamation points. Woo, woo! We'll go with all of the above. And just for you, 100%. Yes. Amy, I am blown away by new acquisitions. Yeah, I give Brad Holmes, the front office, all the credit in the world. They've done a great job building this team and really just adding layer upon layer upon layer to it this offseason. And I think it makes more sense to send linebackers on blitzes, right? That way your best covered people are covering. It does, but you want to catch people off guard. Everybody's thinking your linebackers are coming, so they're looking to make the hot read in this area, that area, the flat, or whatever it may be. And all of a sudden, once in a while, you catch them off guard that the blitzers that you're thinking are the backers are now dropping into those lanes. And now the backside bandits coming. The Lions did a real good job of that against Denver, among other teams. So I do anticipate that you're going to see some pretty good sack numbers from the secondary. Ed Branch / Iffy still needs to blitz, though they are like rockets coming off the edge. Yeah, they got some wheels, and sometimes you get lost in the shuffle just because they fall down below the offensive line and defensive linemen. Sometimes maybe in a bad situation, the right or wrong quarterbacks won't pick them up. We're also going to face a couple rookies we know 4 different times this year with Minnesota and Chicago, at least potentially face them. We'll go with that. So you might be able to get some free passes at the quarterback because they didn't pick up the pre-snap adjustments. All right, Ed, what Brad Holmes has done to turn around this team in just 3.5 seasons needs to be studied. Once we win it all, I hope we get a 30-for-30 or something. If we win the Super Bowl, and it probably wouldn't happen a year or two afterwards, but maybe like a decade or something afterwards. So somewhere in the 2030s, I could see totally getting a 30-for-30 or something like that. The man who changed the game, the Lions or whatever. So we'll see what happens. All right, Rocky, the second most underrated player in the league would be the best quarterback for this team. Goff. What do they know? Woo! 100%. Yes, and you're probably spot on with that. Goff, even though he's been in the headlines in recent years, we all still get the story. Kicked out, divorced, left for dead or whatever in LA. Came here, thought of as a throwaway player in a trade. You know what? He's been a whole lot more than that. So, yes, he's been a little overlooked indeed. 9 drinks. Woo! And good morning to you too, my friend. Ed, can you imagine game playing against Detroit and facing 5 to 6 guys with 6 or more sacks? I think it's you're going to have a whole lot of teams having to adjust how they pick up blocking assignments and maybe even having to leave in additional blockers. You can leave them in to slow the blitz, but that also means less people go out and pass routes. I don't know. It's a him and haw situation. Great Lakes. How mad are Bears fans? Caleb Williams went 0 for 44 in camp and threw 15 interceptions. He went 0 for 44 throwing? Like he didn't complete a pass? Wow. Is that accurate? I would hope not, but man, we'll see what happens. It is OTAs. There's a long time into the regular season. All right, Donkey Kong, Super Bowl or bust. Thank you, Donkey. Thanks for all you do for the show. Trump's Craig Reynolds, also another guy who doesn't get his just dues. Good call on that one, my friend. One Funky, Amik Robertson seems to be one of the most underrated players. People don't even talk about him, and he's probably going to start the year as the number 2 cornerback. That's not a bad call. I think maybe the only reason why they're not talking about him more is just he hasn't played here for the Lions yet. So wait and see, but he is a good coverage corner. Mr. Nico, everyone like this video because it's the only thing I want for my birthday, and hit me with a 1 pride. Thanks. Mr. Nico, you got 1 pride, and thank you for mentioning that. Yeah, if you guys could help out, hit the thumbs up. We've got a little over 350 people total watching on different platforms, so thank you for all that you guys do to help the channel grow. And happy birthday, man. Ed, a lot of the D line is dependent on potential, and they don't. And they did that last year, and it didn't work. So for me, it's a believe it when I see it type of thing. I'll go with that. I think they've got a lot of potential, as you point out. They just got to get it done. And I thought later in the year they did more and more good things. So now maybe a little bit better secondary, maybe a little bit better defensive line coach. It all starts adding up. Game of inches. Rocky, defense most underrated is whoever plays opposite of Hutch. We'll go with that. 100%. Yes. And you get that person out there, you get them playing well, this defense will make a move up the charts. All right, Pierce, I'm going with Kirby Joseph and Glasgow. Glasgow didn't get the respect he deserves. Okay, 2 good calls there. Good calls on that, Pierce. And you're right. Glasgow, man, he came in. He wasn't even supposed to be the starter. And he came in because Big V went down again with a back injury. And I thought he played very, very well throughout the year. Kirby Joseph, I don't think it was as good a year as his rookie year, but take nothing away from it. It was still a strong year. Let's see, Brent. I like Craig Reynolds also, but I think he's in for a battle at running back 3. Yeah, he's in a battle to make the 53-man roster, I believe. Maybe they'll keep 4 running backs. I think he's probably aware of the situation. He's got some work to do, and I think he can do it. All right, Ed, Mr. Ed, boy, this offseason chat has been fun. It's been a lot more productive than I originally thought it would be. Last year, I want to say, just because of things, it was, whatever, still growing the channel, learning YouTube. It wasn't what we have now. And a lot of that's just because the community has grown. We've become very interactive on the show. So I appreciate it. It really helps things out a lot. So agreed on that, Ed. Let's see, Great Lakes, maybe they can trade Williams for Fields. There you go. Should have kept Fields and pick one of 3 or 4 picks. Good morning, by the way, all. All right, there you go. And Great Lakes, good morning to you too. Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't keep Fields, and I know we've talked about it before. Chicago Bears, I would have just traded the pick back, even if we didn't get a ton. I just think the Chicago Bears would have been better served keeping Justin Fields and adding more around him. But they made their choice, and who knows, maybe it'll be the right choice. Maybe Caleb Williams will be the man. We'll have to wait and see in time. Craig is a very hard runner. He is, man, and one heck of a blocker. We all saw that against Tampa Bay at Tampa Bay. All right, Miles Margaret, good Tuesday morning, coach and crew. If underrated equals taken for granted, I go for Montgomery and Anzalone. That's another good 1-2 combination. Because you could go that way with both of those two guys. Anzalone, I mean, he was a backup in the Saints in New Orleans. And we brought him in, and I remember a lot of fans were like, who's this guy? Why don't we sign him? And then we re-signed him. Yeah, I would say this for Anzalone. He's gotten noticeably better every season here. And kudos to the coaching staff. They need to get a lot of praise for that because they've been behind a lot of that. All right, Matthew, what do you got? Greetings, salutations. Good morning, everyone. Superdome, exclamation point. Super Bowl, exclamation point. Woo, woo, woo. And we'll go with all of the above just for you. All right, Bo, second that emotion mile marker. There you go. Brett, Aleem is my defensive pick also. Can't wait to see what he does now that he's lining up next to DJ Reader. Woo! And you know what, Brett? I think a lot of people in the NFL are going to be watching that. DJ Reader is kind of one of those sneaky good signings. Let's also be honest. If he didn't have the injuries, we probably would have never got him. We would never have been able to afford him. I don't know. Maybe Cincinnati would not have let him go. He did have the injury, so it kind of worked out for us. As long as he heals up and rests, I think Aleem McNeil, and just because right now I'm projecting James Houston be that starting end opposite DJ Reader or opposite Hutchinson, I guess. I think they're going to have real strong seasons because you're going to have to account for Reader a lot of times. Broderick Martin is another guy we haven't mentioned on the show. I think he's going to have a strong season too. I'm not going to say he's underrated because he doesn't have a rating yet. But I think as far as people who can get after the quarterback, we all get Mekhi Wingo is being talked about because he's got some explosive first step. So does Broderick Martin. He just needs more, technique or needed more technique last year with his hands, his arms, and learning how to shed blocks. And also not standing up so much when the snap happens. But if they've cleaned all those things up, he could be a person of interest for us as well. All right, Pierce, mile marker, main reason. Oh, very good. Miles, mile marker at Bo Booth, laughing. All right, or smiles. Pierce, mile marker, main reason I went with Glasgow. Also, agreed. All right, Hookadoo, morning mile marker, and I agree with that, 100%. Ed, Aleem got double teamed 50% of the time, according to the next gen stats last year. Hutch was about 30%. He is an underrated. Teams know. No, the teams know, but as far as the media or the fan bases, that's where I guess I'm going with all this stuff. So good call on that, though, Ed. Great Lakes, I think Amik is going to do well also. Definitely better than the traffic cone that was Will Harris. Traffic cone that was Will Harris. I think you're pretty spot on with that. Yeah, so good calls on that. And yeah, I think he will definitely. The secondary, we all get it. The secondary is going to be vastly better. All right, Ed, the Lions O-line has 4 former first rounders. The Lions O-line has 4 former first rounders, first of its kind. Yes, they've put a big investment into that offense line, and you can see it when they're on the field. They perform well. All right, Trump's Will Harris. There you go. Matthew, Taylor Decker has always been overlooked. He's not a big mauler, but does his job and is very efficient. Always overlooked for a Pro Bowl. I agree with that. Yeah, he's done well, incredibly well over his time. Broski, Jack Campbell is the most underrated player. He will vastly improve this season and start to cement a leadership role. That's a good call on that, Broski. I think you watched last year, throughout the year, he has steadily increased his abilities, his playing time, and also how they moved him around. So I think you could be onto something there. And good morning. Rando, good morning, Duke crew. Let's see. Good morning, crew. Oh, yeah. Good morning to you too, Rando. All right, Ed, I'm glad we don't have to see him anymore. There you go. Ed Broski, my guy. There you go. Great Lakes, Decker reported. He did report. Trump's or that idiot CD douche. CD douche, yes. Robbie, I think Khalif Raymond is very underrated. I agree with that also. I 100% agree. Donkey 17, no, locked. Hookadoo, morning, Broski. Randall, Aleem McNeil for being thought of not re-signed by fans. There you are, right? I think he's going to have a strong year. He's going to put the Lions in a situation where they're going to have to re-sign him. Jameer, Iffy, there you go. Yeah, Iffy. That's another good one. Very good one. Motown Mitch, greetings, salutations, Coach Drew Crew, Bears drool, Lions rule, Super Bowl or bust. All right. Broski Dan, group position comparison between the four teams in the division would be a good topic. Secondary linebackers, wide receiver, except. All right, that would be a bit of a deep dive. I'll have to try to work on that one. Dan Lyon, it just seems like a woo kind of day. Good morning, everyone. Good morning to you, too. Broski, Ed O'Neill, Hookadoo, Trump's genius. Good morning. Great Lakes, Taylor's contract is a big question. I would think he'll have to take a sizable cut. I think there's some potential for that in the future. But a lot of it's going to depend on how he plays this year. But I also get maybe that's why he had the ankle finally scoped and cleaned up this offseason. Try and have a good year and then get another contract. All right, Pierce, Great Lakes, we can't pay everybody. No, we cannot, unfortunately. Miles, what do you got? Bo is singing Coach Hee. There we go. Boo Booth. Or Bo Booth. There you go. Hatman, hey, crew, tickle that like button for the Best Lions channel. Get her done. Yes, if you guys can help out with the likes and everything, that would be great. All right, Phil, good morning. Good morning, Philly. Let's see. Pierce, back to Glasgow. That other guy we have can start 3 different spots at any given time. Yes, he can. He's very universal like that. Rocky, Coach, live and learn with all this video rule stuff, keeping on plugging, doing great. Yeah, live and learn with all the, yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. And just, hey, I enjoy it though. So it's not like it's work or anything, or if they hit me with something I didn't know, I don't get disappointed. I just go, now I know, now I can address it. I've gotten some clarity and move forward. But think about where the channel was a year ago to where it was 6 months ago to where it is now. I feel like it's growing, and a lot of that is because of you guys. Some of it is I'm learning all the different nuances of it all. All right, see, Broski, if you want beef, then bring the ruckus. Wu-Tang Clan ain't nothing to mess with, 100%. Server, good morning, Coach and everyone. Back at you. Randall, I have heard we have interest in Juju Schuster. That would be something. That could be something. Broski, just do it with Dan and the Duke Crew. Woo! 100%, and good morning. Miles, Phil, good morning, bro. There you go. Broski, just woo it with Dan and the Duke Crew. That would be a good shirt. That would be a good shirt with a Mountain Dew can flying through instead of a swoosh. Rando, Hooker will be fine as backup. I think so. Let's see. Surfer, what do you got? Rodrigo, most underrated. To me, he could start. He did start once upon a time, just not last year. Phil, Hooker disappointing in practice, ? Will Brad bring in Tannehill? I don't know, man. I don't know. I just think Tannehill is going to want something. I mean, I get he'd be an experienced veteran backup, but unless Hooker really looks like he's that bad, who knows? All right, Phil, MM301, very good. Big Daz, good morning, Dan and the Duke Crew. Made it back again this morning. Love the show and interactions. Well, I'm glad you're here, my friend. And yeah, the Duke Crew is pretty cool like that. Gary, good morning, all. Grit for life, ! Vacation was a blast. Fishing, boating, spending time with the kids. Dan, you and I are Houston lovers. Yes, we are. He is the most underrated, I think, because of injuries. Yeah, last year with injuries really kind of derailed his mojo, his steam that he'd built up his rookie year. I get it. I think he's going to unleash the fury this year. All right, Walt, good morning, Coach and Duke Crew. Woo! Woo! Glad to see everyone hit that like button for Dan. Thank you for that, everybody. Thank you very much. Jarrett, what about Malcolm Rodriguez? Yeah, I think he's another one who doesn't get talked about enough. Agreed with that 100%. All right, a couple more here, and I got to cut out just a couple minutes early. Pierce, Jared, Rodrigo, and Kirby, most underrated on defense. Your opinion? Yeah, not a bad opinion there. Patrick, good morning, and greetings, salutations all. Really like the video you put out yesterday. I think the 2 rookie quarterbacks will get some spotty playing time, but not start yet. Woo! Yeah, and it'll be interesting. Do they throw them in day 1 starters? They bring them along slowly. That's what we're going to have to wait and see. Let's see. Great Lakes, yeah, Lyman grades and OTAs don't mean anything. Pulling for Wingo, though, beast. Yeah, the better he does, better all the players do, it's better for the team. Patrick, I mean the 2 cornerbacks, not quarterbacks. All right, fair enough. All right, rough night. Okay, well, hopefully you're okay now, man. Great Lakes, I think Carlton is going to be too much, not with Hutch and JMO contracts coming up. Yeah, that could be another factor. All right, Rando, I still say Wingo goes to defensive end and challenges for defensive rookie of the year. Now, wouldn't that be something? Doug, not one player has played a down in pads. Might be easier to predict next Tuesday's weather. Hooker, a backup, hasn't played down in pads with Lions. Which coach will be the first let go this year? Man, we're going to have to wait and see, man. Wait and see. Great Lakes, I watched some videos on Rakestraw recently done by Missouri analyst fans. The injury history, yikes. I thought he only had the one that this year. Yeah, he's had a few for sure. Miles Hookadoo, yeah. What is the name of that strange round lake down near your Vanderbilt Pigeon River? I forget. Pierce, here. Great Lake sounds like the perfect line. There you go. Phil, if the quarterback has a foot in bounds, Lions hit him. It's taught. Yeah, I agree. If he's still in bounds, put him on the ground. Doug, which, quote, team in the NFC, not just the North, is the most underrated? That's a good question. Phil, 60 sacks, 60 interceptions, 60 points per game. I like all of the above. All right, guys, I got to get going just a little bit early. Someone from work needs me. They keep calling, so I got to go handle that. So if you haven't yet subscribed to Lions Talk Live, please consider doing so, making that push to hit 6,800 subs, about 85 away. So if you help out, that'd be great. If you enjoyed today's video, hit the thumbs up button. Helps the channel out a lot. Last but not least, if there is breaking news or something of that kind today, I'll get it over to you as quick as possible and when available. So other than that, take care, enjoy the rest of your days, and have a great day. See you all in the next Lions Talk Live. See you guys.